Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter from iWalter. I am doing a late night show. I haven't done one of these in a long time, but I'm doing one now because I'll be going back to work in about a week. A job, not my job that I would like to go back to, but a job. So tonight, got a late start. Maybe I'll show you this. This is really cool. I traded my phone in for a used, so I can get the screen to go on though, a used iPhone 10 Plus. I don't think that's like doing a very good job of showing itself off, so it's just mirroring itself now. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, yeah, it's a 10, not the new 10, but the old 10. So I traded my old phone into this place over King of Prussia, and it's right across from Cheesecake Factory. You can't miss it. It's called Max something. They sell old used Macs and things like that. So, yeah, it was really cool. It was same amount of, hard drive space or whatever you want to call it. It's 256 gigs. And the guy was, trying to get rid of it, I guess, because the new phones are coming. So he dropped the price like $400 off what it was going for before. See if I can get it clear. The picture is actually really clear. You're not seeing it. It's not doing it justice. The picture. I have the screensaver of the new Doctor Who, by the way. Yes, I'm a big Doctor Who fan, so let's see if I can get a little closer. It's not doing anything. It's not even... Yeah, it's not doing it. Okay, I tried. So anyway, I had some stuff I brought back to Micro Center and got some more money taken off the phone I bought today. But it's part of store credit I got from Micro Center for something else, swap of monitors. At like $200, whatever. I figured, you know what? If I have this new, what do you call it? It's new to me. It's not new to anybody else yet. This is not doing very good either. And I don't want to screw with the settings or the light in the room because it's probably as best it's going to get on this webcam. But yeah, after everything was said and done, it was like, I think I paid, will be paying like, now, my one friend, Matt, or bust me on this, would be paying $400. But I traded in my other Apple phone that I know had issues. And it wasn't, because it was a brand new phone they sent to me. It was an 8 Plus. But when I was talking to these people, apparently the 6 Plus had issues back when they put that out. There was an iPhone 6 Plus, if anybody remembers that at this point. But there was problems where it was something called screen virus. It was a screen virus. The screen would freeze up, apparently. The screen would jiggle back and forth, and you sometimes could not send text. And that was all the problems, actually, I did have with the 8 Plus. And they replaced it, and it may have worked for so long, but I think it would have had the same issues. I didn't want to deal with that. And this phone, like I said, it was reduced. It was a little bit scratched on the screen. Whoever owned it previously did not put a screen protector on the front, so unfortunately the screen was a little bit scratched up. But you can't really tell, and unfortunately I can't get it focused in on my webcam, so I apologize about that. I could probably just do a screenshot, but and put that on my blogcast, but I don't even know it's worth it. So, anyway, I got this case. It's really cool looking. If you're like a big Mac geek like I am at this point, the one thing that really impressed me was I got this case for the phone that looks like an old Mac computer. It's like a retro-styled case that looks like, again, like one of those when they used to put out those Macs that were like TV monitors back in the day, and they were like really wacky colors. So I'll show you the back of the case. Maybe that will focus in. So again, it looks like an old Mac computer. That's the whole object, but it also protects around the sides. And I think I had bought some screen protectors for this phone because they're much smaller. The lens space is much smaller on this screen. And I think it was like, oh, excuse me, I'm tired. It was like, apologize about that, folks. It was like $5 on Amazon. And that was with the shipping and all, because it was a Prime thing. So that was really cool. I ordered this a while back. I've been trying to order Hammer films when I can. I'd never spend that much on any Hammer film, believe it or not. I know some people like to beg to differ, but it's true. So this one came in the mail. A lot of them are actually cheaper to buy from overseas. I'm going to show you right now. It was called The Mummy Shroud. Now, the reason I wanted to see this, let me just show people who will be watching this. This is a movie I got. It came from England. You have a Blu-ray player, because it was a Blu-ray I played tonight. A Blu-ray player that plays any region DVDs. I bought it a while back. And it does play Blu-ray, so that's really nice. Now, the thing that was why I wanted to check this movie out. One, it was a Hammer film. But two, because, and it was kind of funny, the villain in this movie, besides the mummy, was Roger Delgado. So I was like, who the hell's Roger Delgado? Well, for folks who know about Doctor Who and were familiar how they brought back the villain on Doctor Who, known as the Master. Well, the original actor who actually played the Master was Roger Delgado back in 1970. Maybe it was actually 1971 when John Pertwee was Doctor Who. And they had introduced, I think it was 1971, because 1970 was actually only 3 episodes for Pertwee. And I think it was Spearheads from Space. And, well, actually, maybe it was 4. Spearheads from Space. I'm trying to think off the top of my head before I look it up, and it's not even worth it. Ambassadors of Death. There was one with, I can't remember the name, the one with Silurians. So that's 3. And they were very long episodes. Each episode was 7 parts. Actually, 3 out of the 4 were 7 parts. Spearheads from Space was only 4 parts. The rest were 7. And the very last one for season 1 of Pertwee, when he became Doctor Who, was really cool. A lot of people remember this, and it was actually it was Inferno, which was an excellent episode. So anyway, somebody just texted me. It's from my friend Rob. So I'm gonna, okay, yeah. I'm sorry about that. Shouldn't do this online. Alrighty. Sorry about that, folks. And nobody understands when they hear this on Audacity, so. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do something weird so Rob knows what I'm doing. I'm going to take a selfie of myself and her know what I'm doing. I'm still here, though, folks. Alrighty, that was really strange. There's going to be like a really dead spot now, so I just want to let him know that I'm doing a podcast right now. So, not that I could kind of edit this out, but why should I do that? So yeah. Anyway, the reason that I wanted to do a podcast was not because of that stuff. And by the way, for people that are interested in Doctor Who, this Sunday at 2 o'clock on BBC Around the World is going to be the first episode with, what do you call it? Jodie Whittaker as Doctor Who. So, yeah, that's going to be really cool. I'm actually looking forward to it, but, yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, it would be really cool to see her. Now, they're putting it on, by the way, that time. I don't expect to get any responses from anybody. I haven't yet. Why should I now? But yeah, Jodie Whittaker, they didn't want to take any chances. This is the first time they had picked a female for the part after 50-some years. Show had started originally in 1963. I think it was November 23rd. It was right after JFK, John F. Kennedy, had gotten shot, so that was heard around the world. And at that same time, that same day, they had actually broadcasted the very first episode with William Hartnell of Doctor Who. So, because of that, they actually had a show it a week later, the original piloted episode of Doctor Who, and the rest is history. And so, out of those 50-some years of Doctor Who, they've never had a woman play the part. The character was always a male because it is a person, a male character, but now they wanted to do something different. Yeah, so anyway, I am looking forward to that. Now, honestly, I think they were kind of pretty choosy on whom they decided to pick as Doctor Who, and when they decided to go the route of picking a woman, I think they actually picked a very wise choice. And I liked Peter Capaldi and other things he's acted in that a friend of mine, my friend Rich, had shown me that Capaldi had worked on. But I wasn't a big fan of him as Doctor Who. In fact, I was a little bit disappointed. And when actually, was on, the Doctor Who before that, the younger guy, I actually wasn't too impressed with him either. It was cool because he was really young, but I met him in person. He just seems okay. And I actually, honestly, it wasn't because I saw him in person, but even before that, I couldn't get through his episodes. I had a really difficult time. It was a little bit too goofy for me, let me put it that way. I mean, Doctor Who is meant to be fun. It was originally a kid's show. I guess it's a family show, no matter how you look at it. Anyway, I can't... Matthew. I'm going to have to look that up because I can't remember his... Matt Smith. Now I remember. Yeah, when Matt Smith played Doctor Who, I was actually like, wow, this is going to be great. And I was disappointed, actually, in a lot of his episodes. No offense to Matt Smith. Great guy, but I just kind of didn't really like his episodes. Some of them were pretty good, but some were really goofy. Personally, I think out of the new series from the newer Doctor Who's, definitely hands down, it was, the very first one. Why am I drawing a blank on these names? Well, anyway, David Tennant was definitely hands down the best Doctor Who out of the new series. But Christopher Eccleston was fabulous. He was excellent as well. So with those two guys, I can't say enough. They were good. Then it was, like I said, it was Matt Smith, who was okay. It was interesting. The whole thing that was cool to many people, he was a younger version of Doctor Who. And Peter Capaldi, they went back to a much older guy. When I first saw it, it was like, wow, you've done a 180. You've gotten a person who was like 26 playing the character of Doctor Who, and then the next regeneration of Doctor Who, his very last one on the timeline of how many regenerations a Time Lord could have, they went back to a man who was 50-some years old. So it was a 180. And now they decided to go for a woman. And at this point, I really don't care, for one thing. The fact that they did kind of do their homework on who they had chosen. And I personally think she is trying, what I've seen I haven't seen an episode yet, but what I've seen as far as background stuff goes, it seems like they try to divert people, which they want to see, especially a lot of the feminists want to see, oh, well, this is women's lib. No, this is a TV show about an alien and keep it that way. And I think they're going to do that. Because I read some article, I mentioned this before, where they mentioned, or they said, if you expect them to mention that it's now a female Doctor Who and them exploiting that fact, forget about it, because it's not going to even be mentioned. It's just a character being played by a different actor, this time an actress. So you liberal whack jobs out there, you got to get that out of your head. I hope they stick with that, by the way. If they don't, then I will probably stop watching it. Anyway, the reason they put it on, because I read an article about this a while back, obviously because I'm a big Doctor Who fan, is they didn't want to take any chances, so they basically had made sure to put it on a time slot that would, like, if it's a total disaster area, that it wouldn't affect the BBC, because they have a lot vested in Doctor Who at this point. So they had put it in a safe spot. Normally, for the last 50-some years, when Doctor Who was aired, it was always on Saturday nights at around 7 o'clock. So basically, it was at, peak time in BBC in England. Well, they're not going to do that this time. They're putting it on just in case it fails miserably. And trust me, they will fire her if it does fail. I've seen this happen in the past on Doctor Who for the many years I've watched it. But yeah, if it fails, they'll just get rid of her, because that's what they did before. And the reason I say that, because I've lived through this before with Colin Baker. I loved his Doctor Who. I thought it was really good. Colin Baker actually was not too pleased with his costume or how they wanted him to act the part as Doctor Who. He was, what was it, Doctor Who number 6. He was the one who looked like his costume was like somebody vomited all over him. It looked like it was all patchwork. And he had a cat on his collar, and he had question marks, I think, even on his I want to say lapel, but that's probably not the right word, on his shirt collars, whatever, his shirt collar. And that was John Nathan Turner's idea for like 3 of the Doctor Who's he actually had chosen. John Nathan Turner was a producer from years ago. So anyway, the way John Nathan Turner had decided to bring forth Colin Baker's Doctor Who was it upset a lot of people, family members, parents, people who just loved Doctor Who up to that point, got them so upset that it was like, this was appalling, blah, blah, blah. People got really pissed off. So it wasn't Colin Baker who came up with the idea for writing the character or making the character the way it was. It was the BBC. It was John Nathan Turner. And when it was taken as being done in poor taste, they just decided, okay, we're just going to fire the man. And they did. So Doctor Who at that point was off for quite a few years. And then they decided, well, we're going to bring it back, but we're going to do a whole different way of bringing Doctor Who back. And that's when they got Sylvester McCoy. They kind of toned it down incredibly. Unfortunately, I think John Nathan Turner actually did that pick on Doctor Who. So John Nathan Turner was the only producer who actually worked with Peter Davison, Tom Baker the very last season. So it was Tom Baker very last season, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and also Sylvester McCoy. So out of those 4 actors who played the part, 3 of them were picked by John Nathan Turner. And quite honestly, 2 out of the 3 that he had chosen, I really liked. Unfortunately, the one character he had picked and the way he had developed the show with Colin Baker, there were some episodes that people felt were very gruesome and very, for that time, especially for kids to watch, was a little bit over the top. So they basically just fired the man and made him the scapegoat, which he had nothing to do with it. Trust me. Because I remember that. I was very upset when they fired Colin Baker. But I hate to say it, a lot of his episodes that were written for him were just so poorly written, and those were horrible. And Sylvester McCoy was just, his whole thing was just horrible. I don't know why they picked him. So going back to what I was saying about Jodie Whittaker, I hate to say it, I thought that Sylvester McCoy must have been a way to destroy the show even back then, back in the 80s. I thought it was like, there's no possible way, because when I first saw him come on for the very first pilot episode, I said, you got to be kidding. This has not really happened. This is awful. And actually, I was living, I think at the time, I was living in Horsham at my apartment, and I had a friend next door who, me and him would talk about Doctor Who. It's like, yeah, I like it too. My friend, his name was Joe Thomas. And I said, this is awful. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. And he was laughing at me. He said, oh, I think it's great. It's like, you got to be kidding. This is like, I think they're trying to destroy Doctor Who once and for all. They're trying to get it off the air because they don't want to do it anymore. The BBC doesn't even want that show on their program guide. And I believe that. And Sylvester McCoy lasted like 3 years, but then the show ended again. And it was dead for almost 15 years or 16 years. I don't remember now. It was dead for a good long time. Then Fox picked it up. They made a TV movie out of Doctor Who, which was actually a pilot. And then with that pilot, when Fox, U.S., picked up Doctor Who rights, they revamped everything about the show. The character, his origins, they made him half human, and even the interior of the TARDIS. That's where I think the BBC decided to keep that idea. But the interior of the TARDIS wasn't like mechanical any longer like it was from day one with Doctor Who. It was actually organic. So the console, everything was organic when Fox had picked up the rights to Doctor Who for one pilot episode. And the whole purpose for that was it was supposed to be a made-for-TV movie about Doctor Who, which then was going to turn into the continuation with funding from Fox to pick up Doctor Who. But it failed. It bombed. I actually liked it because they actually had the character of the Master on there. And of all people, which I thought he did a really good job, it was the first time an American played a villain from a British show. And it was Eric Roberts played the Master. And I really liked that, by the way. I thought it was really cool. In fact, I think there was a year or so ago, Eric Roberts was supposed to be at a horror convention. I was like, yeah, I want to see that, man, because I thought he did a really good job on the Doctor Who movie for the U.S. was actually, BBC owned the rights to it still, but basically they handed the rights over to the Fox network, and they weren't happy with it, so they took it back. And then ever since that was back, I forget when, Doctor Who was once again off for many years, and then in 2005 is when it was finally picked up once again and has been on the air ever since. So that's my story of Doctor Who. So anyway, not any of this stuff is what I intended to do. I have 2 video sound clips which I can actually incorporate into the show. The video once I am done this, and I will do that. And 2 audio clips, which I intend to play. And one is Rush calling women feminazis, which I thought was hilarious. And it's pertaining to this nonsense with this Case Ford woman. This Christine Blasey Ford woman. I mean, so there's a clip on that. Just Rush giving his feedback. Why I want to play that one, by the way, because I've said this so many times to people. Nobody actually believes me, like I have no clue, like I actually don't even have a brain in my head. So what I've been saying for day one on my podcast, complaining about this situation on who calls themselves victims and who is not victims, I got one small 26-second clip of Rush saying it in a nutshell with the women. And I'm not talking about all the women. I'm talking about the ones that are these left wackos, because leftist wackos. Now, he did mention it in other parts. It was on yesterday's show, actually, I should say. It was on Thursday's show because it's Friday now. The other one is, and I feel really bad, and I hope this gets fixed for her. This poor woman, her name's Rachel. She actually does a voiceover for one of the characters on Disney for one of those cartoon Star Wars shows. Well, she just got fired because she was making a mockery of Christine Blasey Ford on Twitter. So she lost her account on Twitter. Most likely she'll lose her job at Disney, unfortunately, and I feel really bad. And I can't even think what else to say. I just think the whole thing is ridiculous. She didn't do anything wrong. She was just doing what she does for a living. She is a voiceover actress. She just made a joke. I mean, you might as well just fire everybody from Saturday Night Live, because every single week they are picking on someone from the right, somebody that is a conservative. I mean, how many years in a row has the actresses from Saturday Night Live had made really tasteless jokes and skits about Sarah Palin? I mean, it was years. And what do they do to those women? They give them a pat on the back, and these women get tons of jobs. How many times have they, on Saturday Night Live, like really just made an ass out of themselves, mainly, but just picked on so badly on Donald Trump? And they get like boasted and put on a pedestal. Well, this is so great that they're doing this. No, it isn't. It's horrible. And it's really disgusting. So this woman makes a 1 minute segment. Rachel, I don't have her last name in front of me. I just have her video thing that I ripped in front of me. But she does a joke about the way Christine Blasey Ford talks, which is absolutely true, and they remove her from Twitter. There were some really nasty comments that were placed on Twitter from these, like as Rush would say, and you will hear it, these feminazis. And nothing's done to them, but the woman who made the joke, she's off of there. And I guarantee you, I wouldn't be surprised if fires her now. And that would be a real shame from Disney. So hopefully they don't, but they might do it because they're just going to buckle into the media and stuff. Anyway, I have this one clip from Rush talked about it today from a news segment that I picked, and it says, "Watch Donald Trump imitate Brett Kavanaugh's alleged sexual assault mocks." And that one, I didn't say that correctly. That's only 57 seconds. So some of these segments, one I think is going to be a little longer. I can't remember what. Okay, those are video segments, so those I'll put up on my video cast. And I'm trying to see how long these other ones are. Well, one's 57, 57, 1 minute, 7 seconds. One's 1 minute. One's 26 seconds. And the other one looks like it's only a minute, so they're all really good lengths, so that's perfect for me. I'm not, like, breaking any rules. So anyway, the one, maybe I should play this first, is the one, because I have a news article with that, with Trump. And yeah, it was from TV, is it TV? I'm trying to look at the site I got. Oh, it's News Now. It looks like TVRZ. Some news segment. And the only reason I picked this one, I don't really know what their agenda is for this news page, but the other reason I picked it because they do have the clip of Trump saying what actually Rush used on his show today. That's the only reason I wanted it. And it says, Republican woman in the hot seat after Trump mocks Christine Blasey Ford as Supreme Court votes looms. So that's the one I want to play first. I'm going to get this one out of the way, and I will put the video on top of me, so you won't have to see my face. You'll just see Trump's. So I'm going to let there be pause. I'm actually at a half an hour mark already, unbelievably. So here we go. We're going to play the Trump one first. And again, actually, let me turn on my speakers. I needed to do that because otherwise I won't be able to know when this thing is done. So here we go. I'm going to play that now. Let me give me a little bit of a pause.
What he's going through. 36 years ago, this happened. I had one beer, right? I had one beer. Well, do you think it was? Nope, it was one beer. Oh, good. How did you get home? I don't remember. How'd you get there? I don't remember. Where is the place? I don't remember. How many years ago was it? I don't know. I don't know. What neighborhood was it in? I don't know. Where's the house? I don't know. Upstairs, downstairs, where was it? I don't know. But I had one beer. That's the only thing I remember. And a man's life is in tatters. A man's life is shattered. His wife is shattered. His daughters, who are beautiful, incredible young kids. They destroy people. They want to destroy people. These are really evil people.
All right. So that is the one from Trump, and that was really good. So you're going to see the video if you watch my videos cast. You won't see. You're probably just going to hear. Well, you will. You're only going to hear. If you can't see it, you're going to only hear what do you call it? Well, I'm trying to think how to say this properly. What Trump had just said. I'm sorry. I'm just like, my mind is everywhere. So yeah, Rush actually did play that segment on his radio show today. That's the only reason I knew that existed, and then I looked for it and I found it, the actual video, so I can actually fit that into my show. So the next one is with this woman that I told you about, Rachel. She is a voiceover actress for a Star Wars cartoon. I think she might play. You know what? I don't even remember. I saw the article somewhere. Anyway, she's just a voiceover actress, and the poor woman did something that she thought, and it was very funny, and yet she does that. She gets in trouble. So that makes so much sense. Not really. So anyway, let me play that segment next, and hopefully you laugh as hard as I did, because I did laugh. It's just a shame how these wacko leftist women just want to attack her now.
I don't know if anybody is listening to the Dr. Blasey Ford testimony about Brett Kavanaugh, but this is how I sound. I know it's a surprise to even me that I talk this way, and I'm a doctor and a grown woman. I sound like I'm still back at that high school party. I can't help it. I just have this kind of a voice, like a baby, even though I'm a doctor and I'm on this media circus, political stage, and I have kids myself that I don't know why I speak with vocal fry. But you can listen to my testimony and hear that a grown woman sounds this way. Dr. Blasey Ford, thank you.
All right, I'm sorry, I had to just make a pause. But yeah, that is really funny, and that will be on my video cast of this show, because I'll just plug that in. I'll plug the Trump one in, so you'll actually be able to physically see it as well as hear it. So that'll be something different for me. Anyway. Yeah, so give me your input on that, because I thought that was really funny. I just think that these wacko women from the left just were actually. I sent it to a couple friends what kind of responses she got. And I'm almost actually afraid to look at them because they're just really disgusting. Now, I actually got my own interest piqued by saying that. I'm seeing if I could find it. I honestly, personally, I just was really... Okay, yeah, her name... Yeah, I'm not going to bother to mention her last name because it's Italian probably, but I'm not going to jeopardize her name for anything. And plus... You know what? That's more than you need to know. Probably you can find it. And those Twitter things now aren't coming up. That's where maybe they already. It's just a problem with my connection. I don't know. Yeah, it's not coming up any longer. It's kind of weird. To this Twitter thing that I had found. Yeah, I'm getting no internet whatsoever. That's kind of strange. Yeah. So it's not important anyway, folks. I don't even care. It's not necessary for me to have internet at this point. But usually it's, what time is it for me? It's 2:15 in the morning. So, yeah, the one for Rachel I've already played. So actually there's only one sound clip to play now. Because I thought I had more than one. But yeah, the one was with Rachel. And the other one is the one for Rush, which I have not played. So actually, I made a mistake. I only have 3 segments to play tonight. Some strange reason I came up like, Walter, you have 4 segments to play. No, I only have 3. So let me play this one on Rush and the Feminazi thing. Because, again, I think it's hilarious. Let me just open it up. And that will be the show for tonight.
This is we're so out of balance here. Women, activist feminazi women, can demand all kinds of investigations into men. Men cannot require or demand investigations into women. You imagine if somebody tried that? I mean, women as an entire gender population of the country. Men are under investigation in this country, be it through Kavanaugh or through Trump or whoever.
Okay, so that was the one. It was very short and sweet. Now, there was other stuff that Rush did mention today. I was listening to it, and I was running around this afternoon, or yesterday afternoon. And there is so much more I could add to this show, but already it's at 37 minutes, and I don't want to go for an hour. I'm trying to get them down to a nice 30 minutes, because that seems like a sweet spot for a lot of people. An hour seems too long for many people. A half an hour is probably too long for many people. But Rush did say today with this whole thing with Christine Blasey Ford, she had said, and I would have ripped those parts, and I forgot to, and it's best that I did. It would just make the show much longer. So I'll just make it short and sweet, that Christine Blasey Ford did get in trouble, or not in trouble, but she did admit to an ex-boyfriend that she had dated for 6 years, that she was not claustrophobic, that she was not afraid to fly, because when she broke up with this guy that she had dated for 6 years, he had mentioned that she was using his credit card for, I guess, for flying places, and she had flown many different places, and she had no fear of flying, because she said that she is claustrophobic and she's afraid to fly. She was lying about all of that stuff. He had met. It came out that Christine Blasey Ford also had told people back in the past she can show people how to pass a polygraph test while lying. That was mentioned on Rush Limbaugh today. So I would have ripped that stuff because he probably gave the sources. But if you're really interested in proving me wrong, then why don't you try to check? 1, you could listen to Rush's show, or 2, those articles are out there because he actually pulls that information from different sources. So before you say, well, Walter, you don't know this to be a fact, I would try to find evidence to prove me wrong instead of finding no evidence and just, lashing out at me. So I just want to let you know. And but that was said today because I heard it like a couple times. I listened after I heard that, And actually, I bookmarked the links. I just didn't bother to rip it. And again, it would make it an hour show. I'm already going close to an hour, and I don't want to. Not that I'm that close, but I'm just saying. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that Christine Blasey Ford had mentioned that was proven that she was basically lying about many things. And one of her nails in her coffin was an ex-boyfriend who came forth amongst other people saying that a lot of the stuff she has mentioned has no credibility at all. She's completely lying about certain things. And again, a polygraph test, by the way, who was made by the gentleman, if I can use that word, made by the gentleman who actually wrote the comic books of Wonder Woman. He was a professor. And that professor, when he first made that polygraph machine, it did not work. And then they figured out, well, it's because it was not being used correctly. A polygraph test only checks for a raise in heartbeat and like in case you start perspiring and stuff. It just looks for a change in reactions physically by using probes. So if you're a very good liar and you can keep your heart rate down and keep like any type of nervousness from showing up front, you're going to pass that test. So the polygraph test is kind of like ridiculous. And it's really bad too, because what if you're a person like myself or even another friend I have who gets very nervous and starts panicking over something, and you get given a polygraph test, I guarantee you, even if you're telling the truth, it's going to show up as though you're lying. So that's another thing. And this woman is a very good compulsive liar, Christine Blasey Ford. And she has fooled, well, not the right, but she's not even fooled people from the left, because the people from the left they don't care if she's telling anything that's truthful. They just want her, they don't care if she's lying. They just want her to give this story that makes no sense. And by the way, one thing, folks, I did hear on when Rush was talking today, this ex-boyfriend of Christine Blasey Ford, he said the 6 years he has dated her, she's never mentioned the name of Kavanaugh, ever mentioned his name. She's never mentioned about being raped, ever. The people who they had questioned that were people that were supposedly at this event where she was underage and she was being sexually harassed. All these witnesses apparently had no clue that they were there during this time. They basically said that she is completely lying about everything. So, but yet the news is pressing this on and the left as though this really happened, even though the whole thing is a bunch of nonsense. None of it, what she has said, is true. This is Walter from iWalter. I am signing off for now.